This episode of the Grand Rising Show was brought to you by Autochthonous Assembly, where the real work gets done. Autochthonous Assembly is a gathering of the minds that do the work. Now, for many of our first-time subscribers and first-time visitors, you may be wondering who Autochthonous Assembly are. You can find this information about our mission statement and our core values on the website at autochthonousassembly.com/about. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to raising up Indigenous American voices by using genealogy, also known as family history, or your family tree, which is the study of families and the tracing of their lineages and history. Genealogists use oral interviews, historical records, genetic analysis, and other records to obtain information about a family and to demonstrate kinship and pedigrees of its members. Our core values are the foundation of our company, which is essential to our success and serve as a lens through which we evaluate every business decision. Those core values are, but are not limited to, integrity, which is knowing and doing what is right; respect, which is treating others the way you want to be treated; responsibility, which is embracing opportunities to contribute; and servant leadership, which is serving the common good. Now, at Autochthonous Assembly, we have a couple of goals here. And our first goal and foremost of the reason why we do everything that we do is to ensure that we help you do your genealogy.
Warning, warning, warning. Hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots required.
Grand Rising, everybody.
Oh,
Grand Rising.
so it was that one.
That one. That one. So
How's
Grand
everybody?
Rising. Grand Rising. Hope everyone's doing well.
2212. 2212. You know, TMH be muting my mic.
Really?
45. Blue leader. Right.
Mike, okay, I'm good.
Could the chat do us a favor and put some ones in the chat if y'all can hear us clearly? Myself, No Sellout, and Bones.
And y'all go ahead and put them ones in the air.
Not the
I know
air.
y'all got it.
Really. Please put the ones in the chat.
If they don't put it in the chat.
Thank you, Copper Color Queen. Appreciate you, sis. Thank you, Shiva Primal, Prince William County, up in the Hizzle. Thank you, Celestial Love. Thank you, Oak Cliff. Yesterday it was Juan. Today it's One, as in I win. Doodle took on Juan. He brought in Juan today. That's why we love y'all.
Wow. Grand Rising Celestial Love, you should be receiving an email either this evening or tomorrow.
Darian Wilson, the keyboard of doom is in the building. The Lord of the Keys is in the building. And the Fellowship of the Keys, Grand Rising Kid Folk. I can't.
Wow. Well, you got a trilogy popping, Iyonola.
But it said his rising theme music is he got the keys. He got the keys.
My face.
Grand Rising to the new subscribers. Grand Rising to the audience that's out there chilling, the backbone and the core of the Autonomous Assembly and Cab Grand Rising Show, and to the best chat ever. We got to give the chat a name. So this is what I'm going to propose for the chat. Y'all need to come up with a name for yourselves. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's gotta be G-rated.
Yes,
And nothing derogatory or slamming anybody. Kid friendly.
Just think of all the R&B groups back in the day in the 60s and 70s. Them kind of names.
Atlantis Phenom, aka TMH. Thanks for that one, Oak Cliff.
Thanks, Oak Cliff. All y'all do realize that all y'all do is give them ammo against me, and I get to hear it in the back chat. So thank y'all. I appreciate the love.
Don't they know it?
So Grand Rising Oak Cliff, Grand Rising Ladarian Woods, Grand Rising Macadon 1. Grand Rising Doodoo Vision, Grand Rising Celestial Love, Grand Rising Lady J, Grand Rising Enrique, Grand Rising Shiva Primal, Grand Rising Big Hulk. Make sure I got everybody. I don't want to miss anybody. I'll leave anybody out.
Yeah.
Grand Rising Carrie, Grand Rising Carrie Bay.
What up, Carrie?
We still need that.
Grand Rising. Grand Rising Copper Color Queen. And if I left you out, please let me know. Just put it in the chat. Hey, you left me out. So, because it's not intentional. I keep trying to explain to y'all. I can't read and talk at the same time. We're gonna get it right one day, though. So how y'all doing out there? No
complaint.
Bones. Okay.
Weather cleared up now.
Well, it's
Light rising.
Might get some rain.
Yeah, y'all should be getting some heavy rain sometime this evening or tomorrow.
Well, again, our prayers, thoughts, and positive energy are sent out to those that have made it through the hurricane. What is it called? Hurricane Dorian? I think that's what it is. Bahamas, Florida. Those are the eastern seaboard that's going to be facing it. Just know our spirit is with y'all. Positive energy is with y'all. We're sending out prayers. So, anything we can do, let us know. And if we can take care of it, we will. Grand Rising Brittany Davis, a.k.a. Brit, a.k.a. Hard Hats.
Required.
Exactly. So, where do we start today? As y'all can tell, we're covering a couple of islands, or at least more than a couple of islands. And the reason why we're doing this is because the story is pretty much the same. There were Arawaks and Caribs on the islands first, and then the French came to visit, and then the Spanish and or England came afterwards, and then it either became a Dutch island or a Spanish island. And we just wanted to acknowledge the islands and give you perspective, and also give you a perspective that you might not have thought of before from the standpoint of the original names of these islands. So, something to think about, because the person the person telling the story is a person that named the island, right? So if they're telling the story about the island, then that's not the name of the island. So the inhabitants, or the original inhabitants of the island, would have named it, correct?
Yep.
So I'm going to pull up the names of the islands based off of the indigenous individuals that were there.
Grand Rising, Michael Robinson.
Thank you for catching that.
Somebody said we got to pull the cab over. They realized David Corey ain't here. Uh-oh.
Well, David Corey gonna have to catch an Uber. Yes, he can. I'm just joking. We got it's a long cab. It's like, the cab is more like a train. So it's got different stops. So he'll be able to get on at the next stop. You know, every time we hit the brakes, that's a stop, right? Yeah. At least it sounded good in my head. So we were talking about the actual names of the islands, what the original names of these islands were, and as Doodle Vision broke down yesterday, the names have something to do with agriculture, astrology, the people. The names always have something to do with something that our ancestors had their hands in. That's how you know it's from them. So let's start looking at, or getting into, the original names of these places. But before we do that, it's time to punch that clock, right? So really, so for all of y'all with ratchets, go ahead and start handing out the equipment to everybody else that's in the audience and that's in the chat while we go in and get this clock punched in. right. So the first island that's listed up here that we have for this day is Anguilla, the island of Anguilla. And the original name of Anguilla is ʻluːʃə. ʻluːʃə. And that means...
I don't know who Oja.
And it means water from above or fresh water. So Anguilla was originally called ʻluːʃə, water from above or fresh water. Let me go ahead and see if I can put that in the chat. So that's a mouthful. Above.
Oh, no sellout. I mean, not no sellout. TMH, you got the chance to put the names in the form, or?
I'm putting them in there now.
All right. Macadon 1, they're being put in the form now. So, yes, y'all be able to find the names in the Thompson's Assembly form.
Yeah, the names are in the form. I just got to move them over. So I'm putting them in the chat, and then we'll go back and put them in the form. So the next island that we're going to cover is Antigua. Antigua. And the word for Antigua is ʻluːʃə. ʻluːʃə. And that means ancient ones. I guess if I'd have put the word with it, that would have helped, huh? Y'all know I can't switch that. Stop playing. Don't judge me. Do the video said that someone stacked Legos in the chat. Stacking Legos. Really, that's what we doing? So the next one, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and read them, then I'll put them then I'll go ahead and place them in the chat. That way it won't slow down the show. So the next island is Martinique. And the original word for Martinique, or our ancestors called Martinique, I'll put it that way. I ain't gonna say the original word. I don't know the original word, but I know our ancestors called Martinique.
Yep, I like how you did that.
Nikte. Nikte. Or Medina. Medina. Nikte or Medina, which means flower. Then after that, you have Guadalupe. I don't know.
I'm sorry. I had to get it out.
You're right, because you thought I was gonna say Guadalupe, huh?
I'm sorry, y'all. Oh, I wouldn't have been holding that one in.
There's a running joke behind that. Anyway, because of my accent. Anyway, Guadalupe. The Arawak or Caribs called it Waki or Uuak, which is river of the valley. So Waki spelled W-A-K-I or Uuak, U-U-A-K, which means river of the valley. And that is for Guadalupe. Then you have river of the valley. Then you have
the G word.
The what? Guadalupe.
Okay.
Really? This we doing?
I thought I heard something else.
No. Oh, when I said, well, when we did, you ain't slick. You are not slick.
All right.
Almost had him. Almost.
See what I got there with y'all? See what I got there with? Then you have Dominica. The Arawak called Dominica.
She said it's Anguilla.
Anguilla.
That's how you pronounce it.
Thank you, Lady J. And what did I say? Something wrong, probably. Okay, Anguilla. Thanks. See, that's what I love about this chat. They're not gonna let you keep saying stuff wrong. So
appreciate that.
Anguilla. Thank you, Lady J.
Some of us been on the mainland for too long.
That would be me. Where we at? Dominica. Our ancestors called it Wi'inclil. W-I-I-N-K-L-I-L. Wi'inclil. Or Ka'anau, which means tall woman rulers. Now do a vision, because we got these from you. You can always put them in the chat. That would be a great help, please, sir. And then the last one, last but not least, Sainte-Lucie. 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 Our ancestors called Sainte-Lucie Hewanorra, spelled Hewanorra, Hewanorra, or iguana, or Yawny, Y-O-W-A-N-A, which means misnomered caterpillar.
Whoa.
Again, Sainte-Lucie, Hewanorra, iguana, or Yawny, which means misnomered caterpillar. Why they call it misnomer caterpillar? I'm sure there's a story behind that. Copper Color Queen says that's a Dream Cave vacation spot. A good thing about Sainte-Lucie, Copper Color Queen, is if you ever wanted to buy land out there, you can. Some islands, they don't allow you to purchase land unless you're from there. So, Grand Rising Indigenous American Leo, how you doing?
Yo.
Don't nobody like us, American Leo. They don't like us, man. It's okay though. We don't do it for that. So those were the original names, or the names that our ancestors called the islands before the colonizers got there and decided to give it their French or Spanish names. So there you have it. And the reason why that's important is because that ties you back to that land. It ties your tribe back to that land. So if you ask where you're from, and you can tell them the original name of the island before they got there, that helps. Doodle Vision says, I can't type the names in with one hand. The other hand is being used for slap around sucker MCs. Okay.
Yeah, boy.
Really? That's what we're doing. Well, we'll make sure we'll put it in a form for y'all. Because I don't want to slow down the show by trying to type and then read at the same time, because that ain't good. Ladarian, please don't encourage Doodle Vision. Michael Robinson says, found an ancestor from the 1800s that was a Freemason and got the Freemasonry sign on the stone. What? Michael Robinson, we're going to have to do a community spotlight on you.
Community.
Really?
Click, click.
Okay. Y'all are on one today.
For those who don't know, that was the sound of the spotlight. For those who ain't know, click, click.
Hey. Get ready.
All right. So no sellout. We ready to start reading about Anguilla?
Yep. What a link at though?
It's in. Hold on, let me send it to you.
In the chat. In the chat. The folks need it.
There you go. Inside Indigenous American Leo. We'll build some new ones. Did you get the link? No sellout.
My bad, I was toggling.
You was top. What does that mean? You said he was toggling.
Between screens, my bad. Okay, mic check. 2212.
Gotcha.
What's up, everybody? Anguilla, link is in the chat, is a British overseas territory in the Caribbean. It is one of the most northerly of the Leeward Islands in the Lesser Antilles, lying east of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and directly north of St. Martin. The territory consists of the main island of Anguilla, approximately 16 miles long by 3 miles wide, and its widest point, together with a number of much smaller, at its widest point, together with a number of much smaller islands and cays with no permanent population. The territory's capital is the Valley. The total land area of the territory is 35 square miles with a population of approximately 17,400, July 2018. One second.
Let's go down to the etymology and see what they say the name of Anguilla means.
Shall we?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we shall. I'll read it. It says, the name Anguilla is from the Italian Anguilla, meaning eel. In turn, from the Latin Anguilla, diminutive of unguus, snake. In reference to the island's shape, it is believed by most sources to have been named by Christopher Columbus for similar reasons. It was also known as Snake or Snake Island, which goes back to what we were saying originally. The people that wrote the history, or wrote this history, not our history, were the ones that named the island. So Anguilla is not a native term. They're giving credit to the naming of Anguilla to Christopher Columbus, who's not indigenous, just so you know. It says, indigenous Amerindian people who migrated from South America. What's that? What they say? What they say? What they say? First stop. First stop. Now, it says indigenous Amerindian peoples who migrated from South America. The earliest Native American artifacts found in Anguilla have been dated around 1300 BC. Remains of settlements date from around AD 600. The native Arawak name for this island was Maliuana. Maliuana. Why does that sound like marijuana?
Glad you said it.
Maliohana. That's what it is. Maliohana. That's what they say the original name for this island was.
Oh, Mariana.
Really? This is what we doing? Doodle
You
Vision
know they
says.
say music helps some people learn.
Doodle Vision says 1300 BC. Yes, 1300 BC. So that means there were people here before Cristobal Colon, the Spaniard, or the Frenchman that spoke Spanish, got to this island.
You mean the Italian dude that spoke French, that spoke Spanish?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's him. You know, they all look alike to me. I'm just playing.
Still trying to find out the qualifications to consider you a Spanish person, but that's another story.
This is something that proves your point. It says Europeans. It says precisely when Anguilla was first seen by Europeans is uncertain. It just says Europeans. Grand Rising Joe 47.
Because you'll notice when you go through this history, a lot of times they'll mention French, German, British, Spanish under their common name. They're all Europeans, one family, different regions.
It says some sources claim that Columbus sighted the island during his second voyage in 1493, while others say that the first European explorer was the French Huguenot nobleman merchant. Wait, stop.
One more time. For all these people that keep trying to say it was somebody else, one more time. Please.
To what? To what?
You go there.
I'm gonna read this again.
Waldo.
While others state that the first European explorer was the French Huguenot nobleman and merchant René Goulien de Laudonnière in 1564, the Dutch West India Company. Now, where we heard that before? Do the video says cool cut.
Been saying that for the longest. The Dutch or the French. So when you see the Dutch West Indian Company and Dutch East Indian Company, that's the French. My.
It said they established a fort on the island in 1631, however, later withdrew after it was destroyed by the Spanish.
Because who was the Spanish chasing?
The French.
And they were commissioned to hunt down the Huguenots and get rid of them.
Yeah, and
they
besides
were chasing the Huguenots.
Right, and if you destroy a fort that was built, that means you got there and saw the fort after the fact, right? Right? I'm just saying. That's the way it works, right? Okay.
You can't destroy something before it's built.
Just checking. Traditional accounts state that Anguilla was first colonized by English settlers from St. Kitts beginning in 1650. The settlers focused on planting tobacco and, to a lesser extent, cotton. The French temporarily took over the island in 1666, but returned it to English control under the terms of the Treaty of Breda. The next year, a Major John Scott, who visited in September 1667, wrote of leaving the island in good condition and noted that in July 1668, 200 or 300 people fled thither in time of war. The French later attacked again in 1688, 1745, and 1798, causing much destruction but failing to capture the island. So these individuals were battling back and forth for this island. But there are accounts that the French were there first. Just saying. As a matter of fact, all the islands that we've talked about so far, they say the French were there first. Am I missing something? No? Okay. Just checking. So, it says, it is likely that the early European settlers brought enslaved Africans with them. Stop. The way it's interesting the way that the storytellers, because that's what we're gonna call them today. It's interesting the way that the recessive storytellers tell their stories. They said it is likely. Does that make it a fact? Because it's likely? No. Does that make it truth because they said it's likely? No. Oak Cliff says likely, but not really. It said it is likely that the early European settlers brought enslaved Africans with them. Historians confirm that African slaves lived in the region in the early 17th century. For example, Africans from Senegal were living on St. Kitts in 1626. In 1672, a slave depot existed on the island of Nevis, serving the Leeward Islands. But here's the interesting part. It says by 1672, a slave depot. Not an African slave depot, but a slave depot. And we know that the meaning of slave is Slav.
Yep, and remember, what was the first place that they took these people when they were taking them from Europe? To the islands. I mean, it makes sense. If I'm going to bring in a foreign population, I'm not going to put them on the mainland first. I'm going to put them on the island, break them in on what I need them to do, teach them the ropes in a more controlled atmosphere, then put them on the mainland.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just dropping 15 million people off on this mainland and you didn't have no way of tracking them? And man.
So I'm going to continue. It says the slaves were forced to work on the sugar plantations, which had begun to replace tobacco as Anguilla's main crop. Over time, the African slaves and their descendants came to vastly outnumber the white settlers. Stop. Stop.
Look at that BS. If your slave population is larger than your free population, who kept the slaves in check? If there's more of them than anybody else, come on now. How does really work?
Number one, but if there were Arawaks and Caribs there since the 1300 BC, where did all of them go?
Then them Africans on paper.
So it was just only a handful of them there when the Europeans got there. Oh, okay. Now, what they could be saying, Doodle Vision says 20 white settlers sent into a whole island of crops. I don't think so. So here's a question. Could it be possible that they say over time, African slaves, meaning the mixed population of Slavs and indigenous people and their descendants, came to vastly outnumber the white settlers? Is that possible? That's possible, is it?
So my question is this. What happened to the indentured servants that got dropped off there? What happened to the Europeans that got dropped off there to do the work? They disappeared too?
No, they're the Slavs. I mean the slaves. I mean the African slaves.
Baba.
It then says the African slave trade was eventually terminated with the British Empire in 1807 and slavery outlawed completely in 1834. Many planters subsequently sold out or left the island. And where do you think they went? Because this is 1834. Where do you think they went? I'll wait.
That's some people coming to the mainland.
Grand Rising Kappa Chopper 803 says, I made it.
What it do? Peace. What it do? What it
Grand
is?
Rising, I am Flying Squirrel. Grand Rising. We're talking about Anguilla. Doodle Vision says, what happened to the original inhabitants? They just squeegee them off.
Man, they went to Disney World, y'all. What y'all talking about? Y'all know they at Disney.
They squeegeed them off the island, y'all. That's what they did.
Squeeze me.
So, let's see.
But it's funny, why every time they go someplace, the population always vanishing and don't nobody know where and how? You notice that? Everywhere they go, people vanish and don't know how.
I mean, they must be the real magicians, right? Because everywhere they go, people just disappear.
No, y'all can't come here. Y'all went over to my uncle's house and everybody gone this week. No, y'all can't come over here.
They walking around with a big old bottle of whiteout. Everybody just gone, just blend into the daggone landscape. So, is there anything else on Anguilla that we need to read? Because it's pretty much like it's the same story when it comes to these islands. Grand Rising, Alton Clay. Let's see. Doodle Vision says the incredible Burt Wonderstone, he made the whole building disappear.
Voila.
It reads here, it says full adult suffrage was introduced to Anguilla in 1952 after a brief period was part of the West Indies Federation, 1958 to 1962. The island of Anguilla became part of the associated state of St. Kitts, Nevis, Nevis Anguilla, with full internal autonomy in 1967. However, many Anguillans had no wish to be a part of this union and resented the dominance of St. Kitts within it. On 30th of May, 1967, Anguillians forcibly ejected the St. Kitts police force from the island and declared their separation from St. Kitts following a referendum. The events led by Alton Harrigan and Ronald Webster, amongst others, became known as the Anguillan Revolution. Its goal was not independence per se, but rather independence from St. Kitts and Nevis and return to being a British colony. Wow. So they would rather be a British colony than up under St. Kitts and Nevis? Who was ruling St. Kitts and Nevis? Let's see.
And plus, they would be larger by staying up under Britain than going up under the other islands. Remember how when we read what happened to Trinidad and Tobago?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So they didn't want... Go ahead.
They would have put them in debt. They would have put them in debt. How Tobago was in debt to Trinidad and ended up becoming a part of Trinidad to get that debt relieved. It would kind of force you. It would force you under somebody else's rule now, because now you're the minor and the other island is the parent island.
Right.
Remember they said they had the St. Kitts police force there. I wonder who was paying for that police force to be on their island. Don't we pay for our police force to patrol our neighborhoods? Or somebody else's police force to patrol your neighborhood?
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
And like Doodle said, you got to pay to be independent. Even now, if you want to be independent, an independent American, you got to pay for that. What my grandparents used to tell me, the cost to be the boss.
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the St. Christopher Nevis Anguilla proposal, and maybe we can put some more eyes on this, if you will. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully y'all can see it. There we go. All right. So it reads, St. Christopher Nevis Anguilla, or St. Christopher Nevis and Anguilla, was a British colony in the West Indies from 1882 to 1983, consisting of the islands of Anguilla until 1980, Nevis and St. Christopher. From 1982 to 1951, and again from 1981, the colony was known simply as St. Christopher and Nevis. It gained independence in 1983 as a federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So then it talks about the history. The island of St. Christopher and Nevis had been British colonies since the 17th century, though were always administered separately. A union of St. Christopher and Nevis had been proposed as early as 1867 when Captain James George Mackenzie was appointed Lieutenant Governor of St. Christopher with a mandate to seek an amalgamation of the administrations of the two islands. This proposal met with strong opposition, however, it was withdrawn the following year. St. Christopher and Nevis became presidencies within the federal colony of the Leeward Islands, with Anguilla being attached to St. Christopher as a dependency in the same year. However, in 1882, the legislature of Leeward Islands passed legislation merging the two presidencies, forming a combined presidency of St. Christopher and Nevis. Okay.
There go right there why they didn't want it. They didn't want to be dependent on another island.
Yep.
Especially if the island is large and have a larger population, then a smaller island would lose their voice. How could they ever win an election that's gonna benefit them if they have to compete with another island that has way more numbers than them?
Exactly.
They would lose all autonomy.
That makes sense. So let me go back. Darren Wood said they want to do their own thing. Yeah, makes sense.
We got our own thing.
Oh, Cliff, you got some Mackenzies in your family? I got Mackenzies on my mother's side. Huh?
I got a set that live right across the street from me.
Word.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, those are those Micmacs, y'all. Just so y'all know. The creators of the Ladino.
Predecessor to Latin.
Darren Wood says I got McCormick in my tree. Yep, that's that Mac in the mix.
I had McCormick in my salad.
Really? That's what we doing.
Hey.
So let's go to Antigua. Oak Cliff says Alice Mackenzie, December 1st, 1885, Macon, Georgia. Oak Cliff, let me find out we relatives. Oak Cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Macon ain't that far from me. That's right up the road from me.
Spelled the same way too.
You posting that link, TMH?
I'm posting it now, Antigua. Alright. Let's get it. Antigua. Oak Cliff said white folk. Not necessarily. Remember, there was millions of immigrants that came over here that were swarthy, tawny, dub, opposed to Finn. So, don't let the smooth name fool you. Oak Cliff said Alice was Indian. See, that's what's up.
And remember from the video that we showed that got banned, that you have a lot of people that you would consider pale Europeans, but they weren't.
You got the link to Antigua? Don't sell out?
Yep.
Oh, so y'all got links to islands and connections like that and didn't tell me? All right, I see how we doing.
We just told you, man. We just told you.
Excuse me, Mr. 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot hike. Don't you got family from the islands?
Oh man, they put the whole verse on you, bro. You get all of it.
You got people from the islands. I ain't got nobody from the islands. I can't even get a hop on no island. Don't nobody know me nowhere. You talking about some y'all got links?
No skip,
man,
no jump.
Stop it.
Man.
Got family on the island right now.
Hey, you might. You ain't done with your genealogy.
Yeah, but he got his relatives is close, literally.
Oh, they here. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Mama there, be there, P there, C there. You know, all of them.
Be there. You know, see there. That's all. He just look, Nikki over here told me, "Mama, there, Peter. She didn't hear you, but she heard you." Antigua, y'all play too much. Also known as Waladli, I believe, or Wadadli by the native population, is an island in the West Indies. It is one of the Leeward Islands in the Caribbean region, and the main island of the country of Antigua and Barbuda.
Buddha. Go ahead.
Why did I know somebody was gonna say Antigua and Barbuda, or never mind, Barbuda became an independent state within the Commonwealth of Nations on 1 November 1981. All right. So Antigua means "quote unquote" ancient in Spanish, after an icon in Seville Cathedral, Santa Maria de la Antigua, Saint Mary of the Old Cathedral. The name Waladli, somebody can correct me in the chat if I'm saying that wrong, comes from indigenous inhabitants and means approximately "our own," quote unquote. The island circumference is roughly 87 kilometers, 54 miles, and its area of 108 square miles. Its population was 80,161 at the 2011 census. The economy is mainly reliant on tourism, with the agricultural sector serving the domestic market.
Stop.
I will. You just don't have to yell.
Stop.
Sorry.
That better.
It works. Well, I'm not scared anymore, but yeah.
I haven't turned my gain down on the mic, man. Come on. Like, stop yelling at me.
Well, you're like, but what I do?
I didn't do nothing.
Ladarian said that his nickname was Buddha. Can't make this stuff up. So it says, as of the 2011 census, that the population was 80,161. So the population normally increase opposed to decrease over time, right? Unless there's a mass exodus, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you ever notice that whenever a population is really small, or when they mention the population, they never talk about all of a sudden how many people get, how much of an influx of people they were. They never mention, or as of yet, they ain't gonna say never, because that's a broad statement. It's very rarely that I've seen where they mention that there was a large influx of Africans brought over. They only give you that, or they only say that when they don't give you the current population, because they don't want you to do the math. Just something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, continue, please, sir.
Over 32,000 people live in the capital city, St. John's. The capital is situated in the northwest and has a deep harbor which is able to accommodate large cruise ships. Other leading population settlements are All Saints, 3,412, and Liberta, 2,239, according to the 2001 census. English Harbor on the southeastern coast is famed for its protected shelter during violent storms. It is the site of a restored British colonial naval station called, quote unquote, Nelson's Dockyard, after Admiral Horatio Nelson. Today, English Harbor and the neighboring village of Falmouth are known as a yachting and sailing destination and provisioning center. During Antigua Sailing Week, at the end of April and beginning of May, an annual regatta brings a number of sailing vessels and sailors to the island to play sports. On 6 September 2017, the Category 5 Hurricane Irma destroyed 90% of the buildings on the island of Barbuda. Residents were evacuated to Antigua. Now I know this is Wikipedia, but how you give me some numbers from 11 and what's the other one?
2001.
2011 and 2001, but I get the 2017 Category 5 update.
Playing the narrative.
Oh yeah, ain't no narrative over here. Gotta stop that mess. All right.
If you go to the Census Bureau, look, if you go to the Census Bureau, it'll give you everything you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Just funny how that wasn't updated. All right. So we're moving on to early Antiguans.
Yes, because they talk about some first residents that we haven't had the opportunity to learn about yet. So of course there's going to be some breaks coming up, so people can catch up with McCab. Go ahead.
All right. The early Antiguans. The first residents were the Guanahatabe people.
Stop.
No. The first residents were the Guanahatabe people. I just want to say that again. Mm-hmm. I'll stop. Guanahatabe.
Really? No, I don't want to go on no holiday, man.
Yeah, you do. Everybody wants to go on a holiday. I'm on one right now. It's Friday. We chilling. It's all right.
It's not Friday, dude. It's
Every
Thursday.
day this week been Friday to you.
Grand
Y'all
Rising,
don't
Pamela Hall.
like a Friday. Guanahatabe. Is that correct? Am I saying that right? Also,
Guanahatabe. Yeah, Guanahatabe. Yeah.
No, I don't want to go.
Guadalupe.
He's still up. He's got it in there.
I'm saying it officially right here. You stupid.
Doodle Vision said we just got flagged. How we just get flagged, man?
Look now. Cause
leave it alone.
Look, see, man, you got me like, okay, Guanahatabe. Oh, hey. Subject here.
Instead of Hip Hop Parade.
Yep. Yep. That's where they from.
Guanahatabe.
That's what James.
So I'm gonna read about these individuals.
All right.
Ooh, Iron Flying Squirrel says something. Key says it sounds like Guantanamo Bay. Yo.
Mm-hmm. Enrique said, can he get a quick recap real quick? Phone died on him.
So, no sellout fell out of share. No, I'm just playing.
I'll shut this thing down. No, I'm joking. Put me on the spot.
The island that we were discussing earlier was Anguilla. And basically it talks about how the inhabitants, real early inhabitants of the Arawak in 1300 BC were there before depending on which story you listen to, the French or the Spanish, because there's conflicting stories, where they started colonizing either in the 1500s or the 1600s, and there were battles and wars on that island. And at one particular time, they tried to put that island of Anguilla into a confederation, but that would have diminished their rights as a people, so they pulled out. And so now we're on to Antigua, and we're just talking about the first inhabitants of Antigua, the people of Guanahatabe, and that's pretty much it. Did I miss anything? Yeah, that and my mispronunciation.
Not to mention that the Huguenot captain was reported to be in the islands first.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. I said French.
Hugo's here. Waldo again.
So cool. Pamela Hall says, y'all laughing, but that Guantanamo Bay is close to these islands. Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, it is. That could have been the original Guantanamo Bay. We digging. We're going to find out if it was.
I mean, it's because it's Guanahatabe Bay, and we know how language operates. Pamela Hall passed. Stay tuned to tomorrow. Uh-oh. Doodle Vision.
Yano Key, don't get it.
Yeah, Saturday is going to be crazy.
So So let's go ahead and talk about these Guanahara people. It says they were an indigenous people of Western Cuba at the time of European contact. Why did I say European contact? Archaeological.
Where's Guantanamo Bay? Where's Guantanamo Bay?
Huh?
Where's the location of Guantanamo Bay?
You want me to pull it up now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's Cuba.
Mhm.
It's Cuba.
Where did these people originally come from?
The Guanahara Bay were indigenous people of Western Cuba at the time of European contact.
Guantanamo Bay. Yes, it is.
Stop playing, man. Stop playing.
Pamela Hall, you was on it. Yes, it is.
As James says, Pamela Hall Pass.
Pamela Hall Pass.
Pamela Hall Pass, you got it right.
Come on, man.
All right. Boom. Yeah, let's go ahead and give an explosion. Hold on. I got one word for that.
I'm flying squirrel.
Doodle Vision says you done did it now. Uh-oh.
So is it coincidence that them names sound similar? No, my friends, no.
No, there's no coincidence. There's nothing in any indigenous language. There is no word for coincidence. Just so you know. So it says archaeological and historical studies suggest that Guadalajara Bay were archaic hunter-gatherers with a distinct language and culture from their neighbors, the Taino. They might have been a relic of an earlier culture that spread widely through the Caribbean before the ascendance of the agriculturalist Taino. It says contemporary historical reference largely corroborated by archaeological findings placed Guanahara Bay on the western end of Cuba, adjacent to the Taino living in the rest of Cuba and the rest of Great Antilles. They lived in what is now Pinar del Rio province and parts of Habana and Matanzas province. Archaeological surveys of the area reveal an archaic population of hunter-gatherers. They lived outdoors and in caves. They built no dwellings, unlike their neighboring Taino. They practiced no agriculture and subsistence, mostly on shellfish and foraging, and supplemented their diet with fish and game. They lacked ceramic pottery and made stone shell and bone tools using grinding and lithic reduction techniques. The language of Guadalajara Bay is lost except for a handful of place names. However, it appears to have been distinct from the Taino language, as a Taino interpreter for Christopher Columbus could not communicate with them. Stop.
You stop yourself.
Remember what James was talking about over this whole week? How the interpreter, because the interpreters were either, they were the Moors that came with Christopher Columbus. They were the Isa that could interpret. So they couldn't interpret what these people were saying. So who were these people? Go ahead, Jeff.
Something else, well, two things real quick. You notice Christopher Columbus had a Taino with him. Secondly, what Doodoo putting up in the chat, they try to tell you that these people are hunter-gatherers. Mm-hmm. How? They're living on the island. They would have to be mobile. If you stayed on a small island hunting, whatever you was eating off the island, eventually, you're going to wipe it out. You're smart enough to know, okay, we're going to hunt so long here, they move to this island. They were island hoppers.
Say it again. They were what hoppers?
Island hoppers. It only makes sense. Because if you stayed in that spot, if our ancestors on the mainland were smart enough to know that we can only farm on this land for so long, then we got to relocate so the land can come back. Our ancestors that were hunting would be wise enough to know the same thing. They would know how fast this game is reproducing itself, when they can hunt it, when they couldn't hunt it. So they would have to keep moving. Move to this island, stay here for so long, then come back to here. It would be, why wouldn't it be any different? These are the same people that's on the mainland. For all we know, some of these people on the mainland could be their settlements on the islands when they leaving the mainland from farming. Just a thought.
Yeah, true. A good thought.
Right near the beach.
And I'm gonna read this last little bit and then we're gonna move on. It says that similar archaic sites dating back centuries have been found around the Caribbean. Archaeologists consider the Guadalupe to be late survivors of a much earlier culture that existed throughout the islands before the rise of the agricultural Taino. Similar cultures existed in southern Florida at roughly the same time, though this could simply have been an independent adaptation to a similar environment. Boo. It is possible the Guadalupe were related to the Taino, though no characteristically Taino sites have been found in their territory. So they don't know who these people are, but they're trying to tie them to a people that they have nothing in relation or nothing in common with. Okay. Makes no sense to me, but sure. So we're back to Antigua.
No, just a prelude to tomorrow's show, dude. That's it. Today's show kind of leads into tomorrow's show.
We're just island hopping right now. So Docela, can you go ahead and continue to read about the early Antiguans?
Yep. All right, since we only got through the first sentence. The first residents were the Guadalupe people. You want to click that link again, TMH? You go on a tangent?
No. You know what? Stop it.
Eventually, the Arawak migrated from the mainland, followed by the Carib. Prior to European colonialism, Christopher Columbus was the first European to visit Antigua in 1493. The Arawak were the first well-documented group of indigenous people to settle Antigua. They paddled to the island by canoe from present-day Venezuela, pushed out by the Carib, another indigenous people.
Stop.
Uh-huh.
Stop.
Uh-huh.
So, what happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They paddled to the island by canoe.
So they had boats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Piragua? I don't know if that's correct pronunciation. Piragua.
Why does that remind me of Paraguay? But anyway, go ahead.
It does look like that, right?
Yeah.
All right. So they were pushed out by the Carib, which are another indigenous people. I believe we know this from yesterday. All right. So the Arawak introduced agriculture to Antigua and Barbuda. Among other crops, they cultivated the now noted Antiguan black pineapple.
Wait, black pineapple?
This is a black pineapple, y'all. A dub pineapple, TMH.
A dub pineapple, that's what's up.
Yeah. They also cultivated corn, sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes were white with firmer flesh than the bright orange sweet potato used in the United States. Chili peppers, guava, tobacco, and cotton. Some of the vegetables listed, such as corn and sweet potatoes, still are staples of Antiguan cuisine. Colonists took them to Europe, and from there they spread around the world. For example, a popular Antiguan dish, ducuna, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, is a sweet steamed dumpling made from grated sweet potatoes, flour, and spices. Another staple, fungi, is a cooked paste made of cornmeal and water. Most of the Arawak left Antigua about AD 1100.
What was that, Bones? But he said something. I'm sorry, go ahead. Don't sound up.
Bones got road rage. Most of the Arawak left Antigua about AD 1100. Those who remained were raided by the Carib coming from Venezuela.
Stop, wait.
What you laughing at?
Wait a minute. Doodle Vision says, here we go again, 1100 AD.
1100 AD.
That's a long time to be on that island. And not seeing that native African.
Hey, did you see? Look at the other. I like the other one though. Arawak and Carib are the same people. Arawak equals sailors, and the Carib are the farmers. Look at that. Stop playing.
So my question is, how you gonna chase somebody off of Venezuela and then go and then chase them to the island that you sent them to in order to kick them off the island?
This is how we do it.
So Arawak and Carib are the same people. Arawak just means they're the Carib that sailed. Or no, basically what I'm getting is because Arawak were also your Iroquois. So they were your Iroquois that were farmers. Or how do I see that were farmers?
Yeah, the Arawak that went north, that came to the mainland and went north, yeah. Not all of them, some.
Right. So that's your love set. Who is a Taino? We'll be able to tie that in. Let me go ahead and look it up now. Taino. Since you ask. Taino are indigenous people of the Caribbean at the time of European contact in the late 15th century. They were the principal inhabitants of most of Cuba, Hispaniola, Dominican Republic, and Haiti. Jamaica, Puerto Rico, the Bahamas, and northern Lesser Antilles. The Taino were the first New World peoples to be encountered by Christopher Columbus during the 1492 voyage. They spoke Taino language and Arawakan language. Doodle Vision says Taino are now primarily your Puerto Ricans now. Grand Rising Tour.
Peace.
So it says groups of people currently identify as Taino, most notably among the Puerto Ricans, the Cubans, the Jamaicans, and the Dominicans, both on the islands of the United States mainland. Some scholars, such as Jill Sudbadillo, an ethnohistorian at the University of Puerto Rico, assert that although the official Spanish historians speak of the disappearance of the Taínos as an ethnic identification, many survivors left descendants, usually by intermarrying with the ethnic groups. Recent research revealed a high percentage of mixed or tri-racial ancestry in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. Those claiming Taino ancestry also have Spanish ancestry or African ancestry, and often both.
Can somebody please tell me what is Spanish?
It's ish. Yeah, I mean, you got something in you.
What's the qualifications to be considered Spanish? I'm just, I know we're going to get to it tomorrow.
Just a little bit. No, I'm joking. I don't know, actually. I didn't sign up.
Iron Flying Squirrel says the ish.
Yeah, something like what?
Not a phenomenon.
But it's
Dutch people that just happen to speak Spanish.
You do have Spanish-speaking Dutch, don't you?
Where did I'm like, where did these Spanish people come from?
They're derived from the Franks, right?
That just happen to speak Spanish.
I mean, that's what their history says, so it's not something we're making up, right? Just.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just... No narrative, so.
And that's it. Spanish is just a language.
Okay, so where were we at? You can go ahead and finish till we get to British no sellout.
But of course. All right, let's see here we are. All right, so those who remained, okay, most of the Arawak left Antigua about AD 1100. Those who remained were raided by the Carib coming from Venezuela. According to the Catholic Encyclopedia, the Caribs' superior weapons and seafaring prowess allowed them to defeat most Arawak nations in the West Indies. They enslaved some and cannibalized others. Watson points out that the Caribs had a much more warlike culture than the Arawak. The indigenous people of the West Indies made excellent sea vessels, which they used to sail the Atlantic and Caribbean, however you pronounce it. As a result, the Arawak and the Carib populated much of the South American and Caribbean islands. Their descendants lived throughout South America, particularly Brazil, Venezuela, and Colombia.
Mm-hmm. So it said they made excellent sea vessels. So that should tell you who they were related to. I'm just saying. Who were known for making excellent sea vessels? Itza? I don't know, maybe. E.J. Coppertone says, I found the people of Spain migrated from Italy. Is that the same stop?
Correct. Because in the end, you have to remember they're all Franks. But in 2019, we identify people by the language that they speak. I have a cousin that's in the island. He's identified as what? As Iasian because the language that he speaks. Remember, a lot of these names is just languages that they speak. How did they name the Indians? Off of the languages that they spoke. It's the same thing that they did to themselves. These are all Frank, Dutch, Germans, whatever you want to call them, that's living in different areas that speak different dialects from the same Romantic family.
Yeah.
Like a Floridian and a New Yorker. Same landmass, but different dialects, different slang, different terminologies. Same thing.
All right, so Martinique. Don't sell out. You clicked on the link yet?
I just did. Are you ready?
Ready? Yeah, I'm ready when you're ready.
Okay. Martinician Creole, Matinic or Martinique, is an insular region of France located in the Lesser Antilles of the West Indies in the eastern Caribbean Sea, with a land area of 1,128 square kilometers, or 436 square miles, and a population of 376,480 inhabitants as of January 2016.
Stop.
I shall.
I want you to go back right quick.
French. Sorry. I missed that word. I said French. Martinician Creole. Martinique.
Martinician Creole. We know Creole. Who are Creole people? French-based Creole too, not Spanish. Not from Spain.
Oh, they're not from Spain?
No.
They're not Spanish?
No.
Not even a little bit?
No.
No, they're not like, no.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
It says it's an insular region of France. France.
I mean, the word is Martinique.
Yes. So, just wanted
I know how
to.
to use the cues in other languages, but that looks French. All right, so like Guadalupe, it is an overseas region. Region d'outre-mer, I don't know how to pronounce that in Spanish, of France, consisting of a single overseas department. One of the Windward Islands, it is one of the Windward Islands. It is directly north of Saint Lucia, northwest of Barbados, and south of Dominica. Like the other overseas departments, Martinique is one of the 18 regions of France, being an overseas region, and is therefore an integral part of the French Republic.
Okay, stop right there.
Hold on, I have some more France to read.
No, go ahead. Go and get French. Go ahead.
As part of France, Martinique is part of the European Union, and its currency is the euro. Virtually the entire population speaks both French, the official language, and Antillean Creole.
Stop.
It's Creole Martiniquais. Martinique, I don't know. French.
Oui.
So, what are they really trying to say?
Upside down cigarette pans. I don't know.
It sounds like the French are already all over here. I mean, if you look over here, it says country, France. Let me see if I can find Spain.
Hold up, man. Are we looking?
Nope. No Spain.
Oh, it's 9:36. Okay, you can go ahead. You can be petty, I guess.
Doodle Vision says, "Eek" is a lingua franca word from Yitya or Ikina in Taino, meaning noble or lesser chief. Lesser chief. Pamela Hall says, "Bonjour." Look over here. He said, "Look over where?" At the end of the day, when it comes to sources, I'll just put it this way. Can you access the source? Because citing a source and being able to access a source are two different things. And I'll leave it at that. Because I can cite a source all day, but if you can't access it to verify it, then it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
James says lesser chief in relation to the mainland chief.
Okay, okay, got it. So. Let's see. Etymology. Doodle Vision says time to put all heads to beds.
Uh-huh.
LJ Copper says that's the same thing y'all doing here. That's all everybody does. I digress with that. Everybody does, because not everybody does it. I've watched a few channels where people just make statements, or they'll cite a YouTube source, but they don't post the source, and they don't tell you where they got the source.
Yeah, I click description boxes all the time looking for links, and them drinks be empty.
So
it'd be empty. If your live chat empty and your description box is empty, where am I supposed to type in this https:// anything?
And again, here's another thing about doing research. Also, you have to look at the author and what the author's background is. What did the author of that book, or where the author of the information get that information? Where did they get their sources from? The reason why I prefer to use Wikipedia is because it cites the sources where they got their information. And then we send it to you. Now you not only have the source of Wikipedia, but you have where they got their sources. And then from there, you can go look up those sources. So hopefully that makes sense. That's so different than someone talking up somebody's quoting Alex Haley's book, Roots. So if you got the book that's written by Alex Haley, but you don't know that Alex Haley got sued and paid out over $600,000 because he was a thief, then you're going to assume that his source is a good source. But if you go and look where he got that book from, now you're able to go look up that author and go look up where that author got that information. That's the difference. See, citing a source without references to that source, I don't know. That's not the way I do research. That's not the way I look up stuff. And as somebody that runs multiple businesses, I don't just stop at one source. Can't afford to, because you end up getting hemmed up.
And why keep the source to yourself anyway? Who that benefit?
So again, I'm not taking shots, but I'm just saying we're gonna talk about research. We're gonna talk about sources. Let's do it all the way or not at all. Let's not. What's the best way to put it? Let's not, as my father said, let's not half step. So.
And even go one further and treat it like this. There's multiple hands in our story. Just treat it as people researching different hands of this story. That's it. And use the information and cross-reference it.
Yeah.
Because we know both parties were in the same place. We're just showing a part of the history that's not talked about. That when a lot of these other nations came, that France was already there. That America that we live in today, at one time, all this was known as New France. That all your states are named by the French. It's not a right or wrong thing here. It's everybody's trying to find information, and we just gonna keep pushing forward.
And quite honestly, to me, since this information is brought up, if it's a situation of who brought the information up first, because that seems to be what the question is. Let's go there, because I love words. Words cut both ways, and I'm about to prove it to you. So if someone wants to talk about bringing information first, unless you are the ancestors, you weren't first to have this information. Number one, the ancestors were first to have this information. You weren't first to put the information out. The ancestors were first to put this information out. Number two, and unless you invented the internet in 1960, where it was called ARPANET, you still weren't the first to put this information out because the government had control of it. Unless you were AOL in the 1980s, you still weren't the first to put this information out. So we're talking about from the beginning of time up until 1980, when most of the people that weren't even born is claiming to be first. They're already behind. But let's play this. So let's play the first game anyway, since this is what we want to do. you are putting this information or you're exposing it to quote unquote YouTube first? Do you mean to tell me that there was nobody that was Indian that had access to this information 10, 15 years ago? So you're first. Be careful when you say that. Because here's a question I ask you. If you're first to put the information out, what have you done to help people get out of the situation that they're in? So let's look at it from this perspective. Let's talk about the floods. Let's just say you're on the dock and you see that there is a family that is stuck on their roof and they can't go anywhere. They're flooded. So you're the first to see it. You're the first to point it out. But you don't call the police, you don't get in the boat, and you don't go rescue them. But you're the first to point it out. Somebody gets in the boat, go get the family, take them to safety. They weren't first, but they took action. So should the person that pointed it out get the glory because they were first to point it out? Or should the person that took action to save the people get the recognition or be recognized? So if we're going to start talking about first, okay, let's play this first game. What actions did you put in place first to get people out of their situation that they can do something today or yesterday or 10 days ago or 10 months ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 4 years ago? So if you want to claim first and you've been doing this now for 3 years or 4 years, you were the first to do something, but you were the first to fail because you have not yet put anything in place that's going to help people that they can do today. So do you really want to claim first? Because to be the first to show and not do anything, you're the first to fail because there were no actions that people could take. So just because you have information that people can see, what actions can they take today that's going to help them? Show a video of what you put out, of steps that they can take today to take care of their family. Were you first to do that? Were you first to provide that? Or were you the first to complain? Or were you the first to post? Or were you the first to point? Be careful with that first, because it cuts both ways. James, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
Man, I brought my Billy Club today.
I mean, it seems like people upset about this first thing, but at the end of the day, you the first to complain. All that is somebody that complains. You talk about what's going on, but when I ask you the one question, what can people do, and you don't talk about that, you are no different and no better than all these people that are out here on YouTube are just complaining. Look, there's a fire. Okay, there's a fire. Are you going to put it out? No, but there's a fire. The fire department comes and put it out, but you get mad because the fire department is the one that gets the news and everybody talks about the fire department, how they were heroic. But because you pointed out that there was a fire but did nothing to stop it, did nothing to slow it down, you want recognition, you want somebody to pat you on the back. Man, you don't go sit your tail down somewhere, you better. Be careful with that first. Cuts both ways. So now that we know that you were first, now you got to accept the fact that you was first time to do something about it. I'll wait.
I ain't never thought about maybe the fact that those that are claiming to be first, perhaps they came in the game during halftime and saw all the seats were empty, but everybody was at the concession stand. So now you sitting down thinking you the first one at the game. Now, to those that keep talking about narratives, if I come in and start watching the game in the third quarter, I've missed half the game. So someone is claiming to be first, but yet they don't mention anything about the Huguenots. Because if you want to talk about first, what'd you hear about Huguenots first? Thought it was A2. No one else was talking about the French already being over here, although those same collection of books mentioned that everywhere the Spaniards went, they saw the French. So who were these French people over here that had been here and already set up shop? So how about go and start discovering who they are? And you never hear the same people that came in the game at the third quarter talking about the Vikings. So So now you coming in and the score is 28-7, but you don't know how team got 28 points. You don't know how the other team got 7. The Vikings were over here. The Vikings came in about midway through the first quarter. So why are these same people not talking about the Vikings? Why are they not talking about the Acadians? Why are they not talking about that the Isla went over to Europe? Why don't you hear these things? And again, it gets back to genealogy. Are they talking about genealogy? Or are they trying to get you to just catch a wave and ride it like you a surfer? You the silver surfer up in this camp? Because when you start talking about genealogy, it ties you back to the land, ties you back to who you are. You're hearing the breakdown on who these people are by name and who their ancient names were, so you can best find out who you are. You can't go in and be like, yeah, that was us. We did this. We did that. Well, who were the we? Because everybody has specific jobs. Not Pacific like the ocean, but specific. Everybody had a job to do. So are they breaking down who was what? And then ask those individuals, are you the Indians that they're referring to with the broad nose and the full lips? Are you including yourself in that? And is that person bringing you a Spanish perspective? Again, the Spanish came in the third quarter. The British came in during the fourth quarter. So you tell me how that's going to end up. I'll wait for that. Because I'm tired of this person and they said and they did it first and all they reading is books. That's fine. If you're trying to put a recipe together, are you just going to read it? Or are you actually going to apply it? Because the folks show is hungry around here. I yield the mic.
Man, I got nothing to say.
And for the record,
look at it like this.
Go ahead, Bones.
Look at it like this. Everything that we're doing today, someone did prior, and someone did prior, and someone did prior. And all that happens in life is somebody picks up the information and looks at it from a different perspective, start pulling back different veils. And then when you find new information, it's your responsibility to bring it forward. And that's all we're doing. We're bringing the information that people probably missed or got caught up researching other things. We're just bringing this part of the story forward. Who's first? It doesn't matter. It's about the information and the information being accessible to everyone, so no one has to go through this foolishness again. And like it was mentioned in the chat, if others have problems with A2 does, that's cool. But let's keep that outside of the chat. Let's keep that outside of our time to where we get together as relatives to uncover our story. If that's how they feel, let them feel that where they at. It's cool. Everybody ain't gonna get down. Everybody ain't gonna go the same direction. That's life. That's just how it is. People gonna choose what information they wanna rock with, what sources they gonna rock with. That's how it started. That's how it's always gonna be. Let's don't make the mistake and let that catch us up and we stop moving forward and we get caught up on who said this and who said that. Let's just keep moving forward. What's gonna be, gonna be. What ain't.
So we're at the pre-European contact. Again, first by Arawaks, then by Caribs. Arawaks are the individuals. The Arawaks are the individuals that were the tribes that had the boats. They were the seafarers. And the Caribs were the ones that were the planters. I guess for lack of a better term, the hunter-gatherers. So, same story, different island. It says Martinique was charted by Columbus in 1493, but Spain had little interest in the territory. The Christopher Columbus landed on 15 June 1502 after a 21-day trade wind passage. his fastest ocean voyage. He spent 3 days there refilling the water cask, bathing and washing laundry. On September 1653, Pierre Belain in Nambouk, French governor of the island of St. Kitts, landed in the harbor of St. Pierre with 80 to 150 French settlers after being driven off of St. Kitts by the English. The S. Nambouk claimed Martinique for the French king Louis XIII and the French Compagnies de l'Amérique Company of the American Islands, and established the first European settlement at Fort St. Pierre, now St. Pierre. The S. Nambouk died in 1636, leaving the company of Martinique in the hands of his nephew Jacques Del du Parquet, who in 1637 became governor of the island. So the French ended up taking control of the island. Let's go ahead and move on to the next island, which is Saint Lucia. If you ever have the opportunity to go to Saint Lucia, all the islands are beautiful, but I like Saint Lucia particularly because you are allowed to buy property over there. Some islands, they require you to be you have to be from there. In Saint Lucia, you don't. Let's see. Come on. Ooh. Really, this is what we're doing? Let me do it this way. Alright. Alright, Saint Lucia. You got the link, no set up. What was that?
Yeah, I got it. My bad. I couldn't find the Zoom link. Saint Lucia. All right. So, French. Sainte-Lucie. Sainte-Lucie. Okay. Is a sovereign island country in the West Indies in the eastern Caribbean Sea on the boundary with the Atlantic Ocean. The island was previously called Iyonola, the name given to the island by the native Amerindians, and later Hewanorra, maybe, the name given by the native Caribs. Part of the Lesser Antilles, it is located northeast of the island of Saint Vincent, northwest of Barbados, and south of Martinique. It covers a land area of 238 square miles and reported population of 165,595 in the 2010 census. Its capital is Castries. The French were the island's first European settlers.
I'm sorry, I can't.
They signed a treaty with the native island Caribs in 1660. England took control of the island from 1663 to 1667. In ensuing years, it was at war with France 14 times, and the rule of the island changed frequently. It was ruled 7 times each by the French and the British. In 1814, the British took definitive control of the island. Because it switched so often between British and French control, St. Lucia was also known as the quote-unquote Helen of the West Indies, after the Greek mythological character Helen of Troy. Representative government came about in 1840. Universal suffrage was established in 1953. From 1958 to 1962, the island was a member of the West Indies Federation. On 22 February 1979, St. Lucia became an independent state and a member of the Commonwealth of Nations. St. Lucia is a mixed jurisdiction, meaning that it has a legal system based in part on both the civil law and the English common law. The Civil Code of St. Lucia of 1867 was based on the Quebec Civil Code of 1866 as supplemented by English common law style legislation. It is also a member of the Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie.
All right. So moving down to etymology and pre-colonial period. See if we run into any new Amerindians.
Yeah.
Right?
So etymology, you said, or just pre-colonial? You're just not gonna answer? Okay.
Say again?
You want me to do etymology or just the pre-colonial?
Just do pre-colonial.
Gotcha. Pre-colonial period. The first proven inhabitants were the peaceful Arawaks, though there may have been other native peoples prior to this. The Arawak are believed to have come from the northern South America sometime around 200 to 400 AD, as there are numerous archaeological sites on the island where specimens of their well-developed pottery have been found. There is evidence to suggest that the Arawak called the island Iyonola, meaning land of the iguanas, due to the island's high number of iguanas. The more aggressive Caribs arrived around 800 AD and seized control from the Arawaks by killing their men and assimilating the women into their own society.
Stop. Good grief. It's a good, wow.
Did they do the damn thing?
Said they killing that man and assimilating the women into their own society. They call the island
Hewanorra.
Yeah.
Hewanorra. And later, Hewanorra. Right. Am I right? No.
That's interesting because if the Arawaks are the seafarers and the Caribs are the farmers, wouldn't it have been the other way around? The Caribs would have been there first? Or maybe the Caribs came with the Arawaks and the Arawaks left them there and then came back? I'm just saying.
The Caribs came to farm, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, we showed up to farm, let's fight.
The Arawaks were your cabs or your Ubers. Just dropping you off.
Gotcha.
I like the way you put it, your cab or your Uber.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that a lot of us don't either realize or remember. At least I know I'm guilty of this. That there was a complex system that the government copies to this day. Everything was done for a reason. It was done with a purpose, and everybody had a purpose and a place. So it wasn't just something that was done off on a whim. Everything was planned out. So yeah. So this is basically speculation at best, or they're covering up information. So which is why it's the best thing to do is to go check the source of this information because it's provided. Because what they're doing is they're pulling out from the original sources what they want in the narrative that they want to control. Whereas if you go read the whole book and then go look up the author and find out what their narrative is, you get to see what's going on. Yeah, that's how I would like to do research. That's how research should be done. But it is what it is. So now it talks about the French colony. 1664. let's see. I'll go ahead and read this part where it talks about Christopher Columbus in the early European period. It says, he may have been sighted the island during his fourth voyage in 1502 since he made landfall on Martinique, yet he does not mention the island in his log. Juan de la Cosa noted the island on his map of 1500, calling it El Falcon, and another island to the south, Las Agujas. A Spanish cedula from 1511 mentions an island with the Spanish domain, and a globe in the Vatican made in 1520 shows the island as Sainte-Lucie. In the late 1550s, a French pirate, Francois Leclerc, known as Jambe de Bois, due to his wooden leg, set up camp on Pigeon Island, from where he attacked passing Spanish ships. In 1605, an English vessel called the Olive Blossom was blown off course on its way to Guyana, and the 67 colonists started a settlement on St. Lucia. After initially being welcomed by the Carib chief Anthony, is that Anthony? Athoni, Anthony, by 26 September 1605, only 19 survived following continued attacks by the Carib chief Agrumart. So the settlers fled the island. Interesting. Agrumart. That sounds like Argonaut. So then it goes on to read, in 1664, Thomas Warner, son of Sir Thomas Warner, the governor of St. Kitts, claimed St. Lucia for England. He brought 1,000 men to defend it from the French, but after 2 years, only 89 survived, and the rest died mostly due to disease. In 1666, the French West India Company resumed control of the island, which in 1674 was made an official French crown colony as a dependency of Martinique. Now this is interesting. No, Sal, you see this part about the 7 Years' War?
$7 War?
Yes, it says during the 7 Years' War, Britain occupied St. Lucia for a year. Britain handed the island back to the French after the Treaty of Paris in 1763. Like the English and Dutch on the other islands, the French began to develop the land for the cultivation of sugarcane as a commodity crop on large plantations.
In 1765. Want me to continue on? In January?
Yes, please,
In
sir.
January 1791, during the French Revolution, the National Assembly sent 4 commissaries to St. Lucia to spread their revolutionary philosophy. By August 1791, slaves began to abandon their estates, and Governor de Guimat fled. In December 1792, Lieutenant John Baptiste Raymond de la Crosse, what up, fam, arrived with the revolutionary pamphlets, and the impoverished whites and free people of color began to arm themselves as patriots. On 1 February 1793, France declared war on England and Holland, and General Nicholas Xavier de Ricard took over as governor. The National Convention abolished enslavement on 4 February 1794, but St. Lucia fell to a British invasion led by Vice Admiral John Jervis on 1 April 1794. Morne Fortune became Fort Charlotte. Soon, a patriot army of resistance, l'Armée Francaise dans les Bois, began to fight back. Thus started the First Brigand War.
Hold up, stop. The First Brigand War. I'm gonna go ahead and read on that and put it in the chat. So, hold on. Began. Doesn't. I guess they don't want us to know anything about the first Began War, huh?
Nobody.
Alright. So you can go ahead and finish reading it. I'll try to look up First Brigade War on another window. You hear me?
Oh, I was on mute. My bad. My ears was too. I was finishing that Keith Sweat song. My bad. You want me to? You said okay. A short time later.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna go on mute and start typing.
All right. See, I don't know if people might like that. Muting key on a key. All right. A short time later, the British invaded the island as a part of the recently broken out war with France. On 21 February 1795, and a group of locals under the nominal control of Victor Hughes, I'm going to say Hughes, defeated a battalion of British troops at Vaux Fort and Rabault. In 1796, Castries was burned as part of the conflict. General John Moore retook Fort Charlotte in 1796 with the 27th Enniskilling Fusiliers after 2 days of bitter fighting. As an honor, the Fusiliers' regimental color was displayed on the flagstaff of the captured fortress at Morne Fortune for an hour before being replaced by the Union Jack. Moore would then participate in British efforts to repress the slave rebels until falling ill of yellow fever, upon which he returned to Britain before 1798. In 1803, the British regained control of the island. Many of the rebels escaped into the thick rainforest where they evaded capture and established maroon communities. The slavery on the island was continued for a short time, but anti-slavery sentiment was rising in Britain. The British stopped the import of slaves by anyone, white or colored, when they abolished the slave trade in 1807. France and Great Britain continued to contest Sainte-Lucie until the British secured it in 1814 as a part of the Treaty of Paris, ending the Napoleonic Wars. Thereafter, St. Lucia was considered part of the British Windward Islands colony. The institution of slavery was abolished on the island in 1836, as it was throughout the British Empire. After abolition, all former slaves had to serve a 4-year quote-unquote apprenticeship to accustom them to the idea of freedom. During this period, they worked for their former masters for at least 3/4 of the work week. Full freedom was duly granted by the British in 1838. By that time, people of African ethnicity greatly outnumbered those of ethnic European background.
Why is that always
Some people
the
of
same
Carib
story?
descent also comprised the minority on the island.
Why is that always the same story? Eventually, they outnumber the Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that make you think that there would eventually been a revolt, being they were outnumbered? Just saying. Because I've been bullied before. I used to get my butt kicked every day for 5 years. And eventually I just got tired of getting whooped up on. I started to fight back. So you talking about from the time I was 5 until the time, well, basically it was longer than 5 years, about 12, it was about 7 years. So you mean to tell me they're not going to fight back eventually?
Eventually. Still alive, but not going to fight back.
Okay. All right.
Castries' harbor was protected by a system of 60 surrounding forts. Along the top of Morne Fortune, there are 6 military sites. Building work by the French started. These run-on sentences. This is a run-on sentences theme. Along the top of the Morne Fortune, there are 6 military sites. Building work by the French started in 1768, and the British completed the work by 1890. They include Fort Charlotte, Old Morn Fortress, the Apostles Battery, 1888 to 1890, the Powder Magazine built by the French in the 1750s, Provost's Redoubt, 1792, built as a lookout point, and the Cobomere Barracks. The best preserved installation is a battery at Latoque Point, completed in 1888. It was not abandoned until 1905. Who wrote this? This fort, in particular, was built by the British to repel any attack from the United States on the then valuable coaling harbor of Castries.
Interesting. Let's see. Let me do this.
Hold on before y'all move forward. I really don't believe in doing this, but EJ, I sent you an email that'll clear it up for you. And my brother, if you read the email yourself and you persist to keep it on, then you become the distraction. The proof and the evidence that you need, you have right in front of your eyes if you open your email. And now the situation, you had a proof, that's that. Let's keep it moving. We have people here that do want to learn, people here that's trying to find out who they are, people here that's trying to access resources to be self-sufficient. So out of respect to everyone, let's make sure the ones that don't have can receive what they're working and struggling to get, please.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you're keeping people from learning, and I've already read your comment, your mentality is that's their problem. That's the problem. Because at the end of the day, it's not just their problem, it's everybody's problem. That's the reason why the motto was kill the Indians, save the man. We went from being a tribal people to being worried about ourselves. And there are a lot of Indians who have their identity, they have their tribe, they know who they are, and all they do is come on sites, come on YouTube channels, and brag about what they've done, and they're not helping anybody else. That's a problem. That's a European colonized mindset. And if that's the way people feel, they have the right to feel that way. But here on A2, we've always stated, our goal is to help people find out who they are. I know who my people are. I know exactly where they're from, and I can time to a specific land, a specific place. But I'm not here for me, and I'm not here to brag on me. I'm here to help other people. That's what we do. And those that are in the chat and those that are in the audience, we're here to help them as well. Not bang on our chest about what we doing and what we doing for our family, because that doesn't help anybody but you and make you look good. And if that's what you're here to do, that's fine. But if you continue to disrupt, I will block you. And I'm gonna say it again. If you continue to disrupt, I will block you. And I'm letting you know that it has nothing to do with A2. And if you got a problem with that, you know where to find me. Go ahead, you can continue to read.
Well, I done lost my place now. I mean...
And again, relative, sorry, but yeah, we can't let things get out of hand. Respect is due here. Everyone's trying to tie back into their family the best way they know how. So respect is due to everyone here. And let's keep it that way.
I think you ended up on the Maroon colonies, or
we're the 20th and 21st centuries. If you want to go on to that, or we moving on to the next island?
St. Kitts was the last island. We can let Dubavision wrap it up since he's here. James Flames.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you good.
I was gonna say, wait a minute. Since I can use Ain't now, since you got, Ain't television network, but ain't those Maroons, those runaway West Africans? Isn't that what they've been saying? Can we go back and look at that Maroon section again? You look.
Yeah, because we didn't even click it, did we?
Nope, we did not.
One time you didn't tangent.
Thought all these maroons supposed to be runaway West Africans that had no clue as to where they were, just running away. And how do they not know they're not going in from the frying pan into the fire? Who are all these maroons that was setting up shop with all these weapons and fighting off these Europeans that they couldn't fight them off on the west coast of Africa? Go ahead, I want to talk about those maroons.
Maroon communities.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and click it and put this link in the chat. Again, as always, you can follow this information, do your research, check the source of the source. Don't just take our word for it. I'll go ahead and read this part and I'll sign up. Maroons were Africans and their descendants in the Americas who formed settlements away from the New World chattel slavery. Some had escaped from plantation, but others had always been free. Those born among them in freedom, they often mixed with indigenous people, thus create distinctive Creole cultures.
Wait, hold on. How they get over here if they always been I'm confused. They always been free. Go read that again. Pump the brakes, put it in, slam it in reverse, like we on Fast and Furious. Slam it in, even though it'll mess up your transmission. Don't try that at home, kids. You cannot throw your car from drive going 300 miles per hour and then slap it in reverse. You'll be sitting on block. Not happening. But go ahead and slap it in reverse. Say that again. They was free, but then they wasn't free, but then they were always free, but then the free kids blended in with the indigenous folk, but everybody over here looked like us, but then they talking about, well, we don't know the Africans from the Afrikaans. Read that again. I'm sorry.
It says, Maroons were Africans and their descendants in the Americas who formed settlements away from New World chattel slavery. Some had escaped from plantation, but others may had always been free. Like those born among them in freedom, they often mixed with indigenous people, thus creating distinctive Creole cultures. Sounds like Lectio Difficilio to me.
Harry Potter.
Because if your mama or your daddy is a runaway slave, don't that, even though you're born, don't that still make you a slave? Because then they talk about slave in perpetuity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused now. You coming from slaves, but you're not slaves because you were born free. But then the free people were slaves, but they used to be slaves. But now they setting up shop with people that were slaves, but now they not slaves and they free. And then they got in with the indigenous people that they so-called had wiped off the face of the planet.
Mm-hmm. They killed off with blankets and all that good stuff. So where these indigenous people come from?
I'm gonna need that movie in 7 parts, y'all. 7 parts.
Now, I do know Bobby Brown said that he had relations with a ghost. So how you making babies with people that no longer exist? I just want that to sink in for a minute. How are you procreating with a ghost? I yield the mic. I'll come back in a minute.
You really? You just gonna drop that bomb, then you gonna come back? So, etymology. American Spanish word cimarron is often given as a source of the English word maroon, used to describe the runaway slave communities of Florida and the Great Dismal Swamps on the border of Virginia and North Carolina, on colonial islands of the Caribbeans and other parts of the New World. Lyle Campbell says the Spanish word cimarron means wild, unruly, or runaway slave. The linguist Leo Spitzer, writing in a journal Language, says if there is a connection between English maroon, French maroon, and Spanish cimarron, Spain, or Spanish American, probably gave the word directly to England or English American. The Cuban philologist Joseph Juan Aron has traced the origins of the word maroon further than the Spanish cimarron, used first in Hispaniola to refer to referral cattle then to enslave Indians who escaped the hills, and by the early 1530s to enslave Africans who did the same. He proposed that the American Spanish word derives ultimately from the Arawakan root word Simarambo, construed as fugitive in the Arawakan language spoken by the Taino people native to the island. So basically what they're saying is this word is more derived or talking about the Arawakan Indians that escaped slavery. And they just applied it to these people. So what they're really saying, and this is my opinion and the views of Thomas Harrelson, aka TMH, are not those expressed by A2 in this particular instance. Sounds like the word or the term that was used as far as maroon that was described an Arawakan Taino or Arawakan Indian that was a slave that escaped, that was a fugitive from Simarbado, was now attributed to these same Indians that they now are calling Africans. Mike Easton says, so why do they keep saying African when it clearly means runaway Indian? Because the narrative is they want everybody to be from Africa so that no one can claim America, so that you won't have rights to your land, so they can end up sending you to Ghana or somewhere else other than
and
here.
They can come over here and they can seize the land and the resources.
Yeah, that's all. Land grab. Same thing they've been doing everywhere else. Bring people over here, assimilate with you, wipe you out, and then send the remnants somewhere else. And then they bring more people over here.
Setting up shop, DBAs. Y'all got to remember, all this is business, trade. That's all they care about.
Because if we accept the fact that we are black, or we accept the fact that we are African Americans, or we accept the fact that we are Negroes, which is a term that's no longer used, then by default, and this is important, by default, you are declaring yourself an immigrant. They're being more specific with the census as far as who you try to, as far as the tribe on the census, and now have the African Americans in the same category as Africans. Outside of those that are part of Martinique and Morocco, which is in the northern part of Africa, which they don't consider to be Africans. So if you claiming black, if you claiming African American, you're basically calling yourself an immigrant. And you're calling yourself you're not from here. So when they start asking you what house you from in Africa, and you don't give them an answer, they can send you anywhere they want to.
Mm-hmm. Where's your dual citizenship? Listen, if they deport you, they do not have to send you to the country that they think that you came from. They can deport you any other place that deem that they'll accept you.
Say it again. I don't think they heard you.
When they deport you, they do not have to send you to the country that they claiming that you're from. They can deport you to any other place that they accept you.
Right. People got to understand these laws, these immigration laws that they're putting in place and that they're enacting. So this is a part of the show where we've already told you what the problem is. We've already tied in who's responsible for the problem, or partly responsible for the problem. Now we're going to tell you what the solution is.
Before you do that, can you spell the Arawakan word for what they said came from Seminole? Can you put that in the chat, please?
You said spell the word Simar. You want me to spell that word because it means fugitive? That's what you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
All right. Simarbo. Simar. Make sure I got it right. Listen to A. Cimarabo. Fugitive. All right. Mike Easter says it sounds like Seminole. And they say they came from what, Florida?
See, we done stepped into tomorrow's show, but I can't help myself.
Do what you gotta do.
It's gonna get me in trouble. Hey, I'll put the just read the other disclaimers that I put out there before on the other show. And if you don't want to hear about the prequel to tomorrow's show, then cover your ears, turn your speakers off, throw your phone out the window. Don't do that, because I thought it's like Domino's Pizza. If you throw it out the window, you give you another one free. So don't throw your phone out the window. Just keep it. Just turn it off. Now we're gonna get to where the rubber meets the road. If you all recall in the back chat, we were talking about the Issa/Itza and how they left, right? And then they came back. And they left again, and then they came back. Like a Busta Rhymes song.
Guys are coming back.
I knew Busta said I was gonna get it.
We gonna bring it back home, rewind.
You're gonna find out, because the language again that they keep talking about, and these Turks, and I hope Brother Bones is still on here, are also called what? Arabs. Look at that word again.
Arawak.
And keep looking at the word that what they call these people. These were Samis. These were Samis that came from Europe. And you will find those that are still of your fairer skin living on the outskirts of these islands and in Mesoamerica and in South America. You're going to find out who they are. And then you're going to understand why another word comes from that. Same word that he put in the chat, meaning burro, which means what? Donkey. Domesticated animals. They were coming and tilling the land. If you recall, so-called Europeans came over here and they had cities of refuge. These are the people that all of these so-called Spanish settlers kept running into, where they said that they see people from all different shades of copper. Your Hittites, again, I refer back to the president of Turkey when he made the statement that we've been coming over here. How do you think tobacco got to Turkey? Going back and forth. Thank you, Itza. Keep looking again. These were not runaways or outcasts. They were on the outskirts. They dealt with tilling the land. Because a donkey is a what? Is a farm animal, a burro. And they still do it today. You go look at these so-called white folk in all of these Latin lands, and they tell you we've been here for hundreds, if not thousands of years. You're like, wait a minute, you gotta be European, you white. I'm telling you, and again, Seminole, like he said, they tricked you, thought, oh, that came from the Spanish, those Ish people over there. And then you come to find out that the root word is here. 95% of Spanish started over here in the land of Ladino, your Latin lands. I yield the mic. I know I talk too much. I'll be back in a little bit.
You sure don't, James. You sure don't.
So wait a minute. Are you saying that the Latin language started in the Americas under Ladino? That's what you're saying, James?
I'm telling you right now, Taino. I'm telling you right now. The language started over here. When you keep digging, you'll find out these words started over here, and they were lingua, franca? Because there's certain words that just don't translate properly, so they get transliterated. Tell me the word for computer in Japanese. I'll wait. Whoops. No word for computer in Japanese?
Computer.
Oh, man. So when you're dealing with Seminole, they can say, oh, they were wild, they were running away. How was that the case? When you look at, again, the same language that Christopher Columbus said, when I came and I dealt with the northern side of Cuba, I didn't understand what they were saying. So now you got a hybrid language of the same people that were in Florida. Because remember, he never came to the mainland. But the people in Florida and the people in Cuba, the people in Puerto Rico, Haiti, all these people that he said that he couldn't understand their language after he came the first time when he dealt with the South side, the dirty South. But then when he came back, he said, I dealt with people on the North side and I couldn't understand the language. But guess what? Those on the South side understood those on the North, and those on the North side understood those in the South. Because I go to the 1970s, everybody loved this, in 1960s and all this, but let's go back to the time everybody loved this movie. I don't know why, but they all love Scarface. Because you got a dude playing another dude that was playing another dude. Because we do know the dude that was playing a Cuban dude was not Cuban in real life. We know that, right? Say hello to my little friend. What did they do? They opened up the borders to Cuba, and Castro said, get out of here. Go wherever you want. Where were they going? Into Florida.
Come on, son.
Why? Because they were the same people. The ones that you call Seminole. They weren't just coming to Florida for no reason. Why didn't they go into Mexico? Even though they speak a different dialect of Spanish, it's still Spanish. Why were they coming to Florida? Think about it.
Get them.
I yield the mic. I gotta get out of here.
Berenga. Now the leg, huh?
Y'all better channel your Big Pun and Fat Joe and ask them what they be yelling. But, oh man, that's tomorrow's show. I gotta get out of here. I yield the mic.
We doing this. We doing this Saturday show.
I don't want to be a player no more. I'm not a player. I just squash a lot. What? I'm out of here. Go ahead.
Look, Joe in the chat. He's supposed to be singing that. Joe 47.
Yeah, Joe 47. Melly, who's laughing now, huh? You were trying to be an artificial him. Sing it, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. I ain't fooling with y'all this day.
So,
what happened to you?
now he had dropped the bomb and scattered all the roaches. And scared the crap out of everybody, including myself. Indigenous America said, Havana Joe Boots.
With a banana shirt.
So let's talk about the solution.
Let's do it.
That tone, Logan. Let's do it.
Let's talk about action that you can take today. Okay. Genealogy. Find out who you are, because it's important now more than ever. Another reason why it's important to do your genealogy is so not only that you know who you are, but you'll know who everybody is around you. That's even more important. Give you a case in point. Again, I can't speak for everybody else's neighborhood, but in my neighborhood, when I was growing up, there was always this bad family. Everybody in the family was bad, just bad intentions. And all of them shared the same last name. And my mom would always remind me, don't hang around those people. Don't hang around none of their kids because they bad. If you don't know who you are, and you don't know who doesn't have good intentions for you, you won't know who to hang around. I'm going to say that again. If you don't know who you are, and you don't know who you hanging around, you don't know if those individuals got bad intentions for you or not. Because here's a question I like to ask people. There are a lot of us who know who we are. And we have the potential to help people get their information and tie back into their tribe or a tribe. But we are two distinct people as far as actions are concerned. You have those that always talk about know your tribe, find out who you are, that ain't doing nothing to help you, but they always telling you about how far back they can go. And then there are those that are actually telling you how you can find your tribe. Here's my question. If your partner, your friend, your buddy, your ace boon coon, the person that you hang with, the person you chill with, the person that you in hangouts with every day, keeps telling you about how far back they can go and they ain't never once offered to help you find out who your people are, why are you hanging with them? Because I can promise you this, they know who you are and they know who your people are, but they ain't told you yet. Nor have they lifted their finger to help you find out who you are. Because if you find out who they are, you'll know why they ain't helping you. But as long as you don't know who you are and you don't know who they are, you'll never think to ask. See, doing your genealogy ain't just about getting to know who you are. You'll start to find out names, faces, tribes, traders, turncoats, gatekeepers. This is bigger than just finding out who you are and where your tribe is. You got to realize there are things that you share. There are things that are secret. And there are things that are sacred. Once you start finding out who some of these tribes are and who some of these people are that are in these tribes, you'll know what secrets they're keeping sacred and why they're not helping you. I'm going to say it again for those in the cheap seats. Once you find out who you are and find out who your people are, you'll start to realize that the people that you're associating with, who they are, who their tribe is, and what secrets that they're keeping sacred and why they're not helping you. The choice is yours. You can continue to hang with scammers. You can continue to hang with people that ain't helping you. You can continue to hang with people that want to bang on their chest and talk about who they are and how far back they can go and they ain't lift a finger to help you, or at least they want to charge you. But I promise you, once you find out who they are, and more importantly, once you find out who you are, you're going to be mad. You're going to be real mad. Find out who you are. That will unlock a lot of puzzles. Because once you find out who you are, you'll find out why certain individuals, certain organizations, certain tribes, certain YouTube channels don't help you. Or they try to distract you. Or they try to divert you. Or they just don't want to help you. Or why they focus on Pan-Africans. Or why they're partnered with Pan-Africans. Y'all remember? Everybody remembers the mall, right? You know, you go into the mall, and if you've never been to that mall first, what's the first place that you go? You go to that little board, right?
The directory.
You go to the directory. What does the directory do?
Tell you where the stuff you want to look at is.
But what's the first thing you look at? You look at, it says you are here, right?
Oh yeah, you got to find out where you at.
You got to find out where you're at.
Everything.
Exactly. And once you know where you are, now you know where you can go or where not to go.
Bingo.
Yeah, I don't want to go to that food court.
See, that's the thing people not paying attention to. There are people that have no interest in helping you find out who you are. Because once you do, you'll find out you ain't got no business hanging around them. Because what you'll find out is who they are and what secrets they're keeping sacred. Like James said, every tribe has a purpose. And every tribe knows what's secret and sacred in every other tribe. See, the reason why some people don't like me, because I know who the gatekeepers are. I know what secrets they hide. I know why they mad. I know why they trying to say I'm mad. And I know why they won't come see me. So, something to think about. Find out who you are. You'll not only know where you need to go, but you also know where you need not go. You also know who you need not hang around. You also know who you need not tell information to because they'll use it against you. I'm just saying. That's why I always stress, get them scammers out your house. It does you no good to be talking about what somebody else ain't doing, what somebody else supposed to be doing, when your partner on YouTube is scamming people, not giving them the products that they paid for, hosting events for 3 years in a row, ain't got nothing to show for it, but they ain't gave people back their money.
Slow down, son, you're killing them.
Partnering up with people that are scamming on a large level, almost an international level. They claim that that's their mentor. Why would somebody hang with a known scammer? Why would somebody hang with somebody that's sole intent is taking money out of the community that you're trying to help? Because they don't want you to know who you are. Because if you know who you are, then you know who they are. And once you know who they are, then you can shine a light on who they are. Then you just blow up everything about what they're trying to do. You mess up their schemes. You mess up their scams. You mess with their money. That's why some of these YouTubers don't like me. But they won't come see me. Because I know who they are. And I know what they're about. So at the end of the day, if you hanging with scammers, don't come on the show when I'm on it. Because I'm going to call you out. Don't call in here when you hanging with scammers. Because I got something for you. So, the purpose of this information is to help you find out who you are. To help you find out where you are. To unblock what's been blocked. If you got family members that are on these islands and you don't know why you can't access that information because you're looking for Spanish records. And, excuse me, if you're looking for Spanish records, and this is important, and hopefully this answers the question. If you're looking for Spanish records, but the records are in France, might that be the reason why you can't find out who your family is? I'm gonna say it again. If you're looking for Spanish records on that island, and the records are in France, could that be the reason you can't find out anything on your family?
I know I had to go through the process.
So when people ask the question, why are we so focused on the information as far as France versus Spain. It's not a situation of France versus Spain. Both are important, but if you're only being directed to Spain and you can't find anything in Spain and you don't know anything that's anything that could be in France, and they're not telling you that it's in France, are they helping you or are they hurting you? I'll wait. Because not once did we say that the Spanish didn't come here. What we said was that the French were perceived to be here first. So if you have family on the islands and the only places you're focusing on is Spain, and the people that you listen to are saying it's all about Spain, and they're hiding information that there could be information in France, and they're not telling you, what's that telling you about them? Don't get mad at me. See, because if you come over here, you at least know where you can go and what your options are. If you don't have options, then you only know half the story or a third of the story. So get mad at me if you want to. But what you will know is we're going to expose everything that we can to help you do your genealogy. And if someone's only trying to lead you into one direction, they're not trying to help you do your genealogy, because by the time you get 7 generations in, you have over 128 grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's not about what people say that tells you about everything who they are. It's about what they don't say, what they won't say, what they refuse to say, what they refuse to acknowledge. It will tell you everything about them. So again, once you find out who you are, you'll probably find out a lot more than you want to know about who those people are that are gatekeeping, that are distracting, that are keeping you from finding out who you are, what you need to do, because if you ain't on that land, they can get it. So just something to think about. So hopefully that helps you. Hopefully that clears up some misnomers. Hopefully that clears up any narratives that anybody's trying to direct. And again, if anybody's got anything to say about me to you, let's do a conference call and see if they man or woman enough to say something then. I bet you they won't. So how about we do this?
I just wanted to add on to what you were saying real quick.
Go ahead.
At the other side, since we're talking about solutions. And remember, once you get finished on finding who you are, well, even at the same process, start reaching out and knowing the community that you reside in. Start knowing how the politics work on a local level. Start going out, meeting your hood Section 3 representatives. Start finding out what needs and services your community need. Start finding out where your skill set can plug in to help the people of your community. Because if we all don't take a piece of this, if we all don't pick up a pebble to do our part, then none of us make it. There's so much information that's out here. There's so many programs, so many resources. But if we don't access them, then we stay stuck in the same place. So let's take this energy and not only research and find out who we are, at the same time, let's plug in, let's unite, let's carry ourselves and each other across the line so we can be self-sufficient. Let's find this information. Let's stop virtually building and let's physically build. Enough information has been put out to where we can run our own city. Not being no sovereign, not being anything different, being us the right way. But it doesn't happen until we start coming from out of our shells, start physically speaking to each other, start knowing the people of our communities, start knowing the so-called representatives of your communities, start communicating way beyond these shows, and start finding like-minded people in our areas to start putting in places to run for these seats in our communities. If we want to change, let's be the change. Again, if we want a change, let's be the change.
So, y'all know where to start? Y'all know what y'all need to do?
Oh, clip, yeah, she another one. You stupid. Yep. But they keeping it 100 though. Best chat ever. You ain't fooling nobody in this chat. Everybody woke. And waking up everybody that's right next to them.
And most importantly,
gotta love it.
Look, most importantly, not just woke but active. They're doing stuff. I mean, we have so many people out there in the chat doing so much for their community. It's crazy, and I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud to be sharing the same platform as y'all are. And I know there are people that are in what I call the audience, the silent majority, because that's what y'all are. Y'all the silent majority. Y'all out there do. Also, we get your emails. So I'm just happy to be a part of this. You know, at the end of the day, when you realize that people aren't doing what they're supposed to do, or they're not saying what they're supposed to say, and they're just hiding information, just remember this one thing. And you may want to ask them, or you may not want to ask them, but I would ask them personally, not out in public, because you might hurt their feelings. Just ask me this one thing.
Why you always lying? Why you always lying?
That's all. Just ask that one question. So, let's go ahead and let these good people get on up out of here. James Flame, aka Choctaw Jimmy. You, as always, bruh, we appreciate you more than you know. One of the individuals that's been in YouTube and on YouTube before YouTube, when it was Blog Talk Radio, saying the same thing and being consistent with this information. But everybody want to claim they first. Okay. You gotta remember, if we subpoena some of this information out here, you might find out that you ain't first. But anyway, with that being said, Brother James, give these good people something that they can leave with.
Man. Once again, it has been a pleasure. To those in the chat, I appreciate you. And I hope Brother EJ, he's on down the road. Come back. I'm not mad at you. I wasn't upset at all.
EJ all right. No, he all right. He just needed some information. EJ good. He wasn't informed, but the brother all right. We were talking in the background.
Yeah, I just want to make sure he was okay. Like I said, when it's not that, because there was a lot of people out there. Because I personally never want to say, and I've never heard anyone from A2 ever say that we are the be all end all when it comes to information. The only thing I had is if you specifically say something about a particular person who has gone out of their way to do things that are not on par, that's my issue. And not even, it's not even a personality conflict. That's why I said I get back to that. If you get your information from the Spanish, but the Spanish are also telling you the French were here, again, then you have to investigate who were the French that were here. So now you have to start reading their writings. And again, I challenge anyone who was talking about Huguenots. Not on YouTube, because I didn't hear it at all. Knew they existed, but who were these people? Why are these people speaking French languages? Why up north are they speaking French languages? Why all these tribes? Iroquois, Algonquian, Why all of these tribes, why all these so-called tribes, why Massowet? Why are these French names? And then silence of the Lamb. No one wants to say anything. So that's where it is. It's and the number, I say again, the number is on top of the screen. Brother No Sellout puts the information all the time in the chat. You want to send an email, I'm pretty sure you'll get a response. I say in less than 24 hours. Come in and drop information. People have dropped information all the time, and it has been used in real time. You don't believe me? Ask Jay Susquehanna Radio. He's dropping stuff all the time. That's why I said it's not just a group of one or two people putting stuff together and trying to form a certain narrative. This goes to everyone that is putting information out there, that are sharing their genealogy. That's why I said it gets back to genealogy. If no one is telling you to find out who you are specifically, and they just keep throwing these blanket statements, then something is wrong with that, because you still don't know who you are. As Brother TMA said earlier, if you don't know who you are, you're going to start hanging out with the wrong crowd. And no offense to my gangbangers out there, but most of your gangbangers will be like, oh, my daddy wasn't never home. I ain't never seen my daddy. Like 50 Cent, I thought my daddy was Rick James. And then they go and join a gang and then wonder why their lifespan is 25 years, because they don't know who they are. It's very imperative that we know who we are. So you cannot sit here and continue to say, hey, well, that's what they teaching us in school. Matter of fact, I won't go into detail, but I have someone that's very close to me that was listening to a conversation passing through, and I thought he wasn't listening. And we were talking in the back chat, and he was like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that. They're not even teaching that in Texas history. Oh, yeah. So now he's got a different perspective. I said, get what you need to get that grade, but now you know the truth. So when they ask you to write an essay about it or do a book report, you can slide in those nuggets of truth, because they've been listening to A2, didn't even know he was listening. This is the point of what I'm saying. It is very imperative. Now, I know it sounds like I'm going on a tangent, and I apologize, but it's just when people are not getting you to focus on who you are, you cannot impact your community. And when I say community, I'm not talking about bless your four and no more. I'm talking about the people that are not related to you. That's community. When it's not about, oh, my people in my house being fed. No. If you are a millionaire, and I'm not trying to get on the spiel, but if you go to attend a place of worship in an impoverished neighborhood, but the building is immaculate, I got a problem with that, because you're not impacting the community. If your community is all in blight, but you got this mansion of a church or place of worship sitting on acreage, but you got liquor store, payday loan, liquor store, all in your neighborhood and no real businesses, something is wrong with that. How are you impacting the community? That's the question that I always ask. And tomorrow, oh man, I can't wait. I cannot wait. So y'all already started spilling the beans, but like I'll tell y'all, I'll tell y'all something in the back chat, because y'all gonna see how it's a combination of several people that y'all took over there trying to be globetrotters and want to feed the world. But I'm gonna leave it on this note. I want you to think about it. Think about, how did the Irish know about the potatoes prior to the Choctaw? Because the potatoes have been going over there. And if all of these people were hunter-gatherers, again, on these islands, you're going to run out of food. But yet you got Jamaica with all these yams, as we call it, the sweet potatoes. And then somebody say something about some pineapples. Everybody, oh, pineapples from Hawaii. Wrong. Charlie Murphy, wrong. Pineapples are from here. And when you find out how Carib, or we call Carib, changed to caribou, then you're also going to find out who is who. Thank you, Mick Mac. That's your homework for the day. Look at caribou and were caribou and who are the people dealing with the caribou and why were they called caribou and why were these French and these Spaniards, why were these Spaniards dealing with these folk and calling them caribou and said they couldn't understand the language. Thank you, Mick. Then you'll have a better understanding when it comes to these reindeer and these domesticated animals. Caribou. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list and he's checking it twice, going to find out who's naughty or nice. Santa Claus and his little black elves with their little red beret, I'm giving y'all clues, is coming to cotton picking town. Brother TMH, I appreciate you. Brother Bones, Brother No Sellout, Brother Copper Indio, dropping those nuggets. Holy Man, I know you listening. Lady Free, I know you listening. Y'all stay buckled down. Like I said, y'all make sure to keep hugging your loved ones tight. Make sure you got a safe security, especially if you're there on the Atlantic coast. Don't let the smooth taste fool you, because Dorian is coming and he's not going to ask. He's not going to ring the doorbell. He's just going to kick it in. So just know y'all got a place to come stay in Texas if you have to, and we'll make sure that everybody is safe. I want to see everybody again, please, mañana, in the chat, not just because of the show, but I want to make sure that everybody is okay, because that's what community is all about. And I will keep sending out messages and make sure we got notices throughout the day. I appreciate y'all again. Once again, it's on and popping. Oh, I forgot before someone gets mad at me. I yield this cotton picking mic.
We need a new mic budget, y'all. All this mic dropping.
All I got to say about that is this. One more. Okay, that's it. All right. Mr. TJ said, shout it. There it is. It's always a pleasure. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I want to thank the audience, aka the silent majority. I want to thank the new subscribers. I want to thank A2. I want to thank those on the panel. Y'all make my job easier. Get into the chat, the best chat ever. The mostest intelligent chat that don't take no prisoners. I got them ratchets. Y'all know how to use them. That's what's up. At the end of the day, it's all about knowing who you are. That's why we're here, to help you do your genealogy. So if we focus on certain areas, it's because it's areas that we think are important. And also, too, because if you can't find what you're looking for in another area, there might be a reason. You know, especially when we found out about the South and how they were changing the borders. You know, you go to sleep in Florida, wake up in Louisiana. If that's the case, then you need to know during what time frame was that area labeled what. And if it's that way for a local area, think about what it could mean when you have the islands changing ownerships. This information talks about the islands changing ownership 4 and 5 times. So depending on who was in control will determine when and where your ancestry is going to be put on what country. That's why it's important not to omit anything. So I think I done beat on that horse long enough. I'm going to turn it over to No Sellout. I want to get that buffer because I should let him go first, but you know.
Nope. I was about to be like, nope. But the mic is still too hot. All the links is in the chat. Appreciate y'all for showing up today on this nice Friday afternoon. See y'all tomorrow, Friday afternoon. And rising. Peace to the chat.
Alrighty.
Anyway. Okay. Bones H. McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
Brother from another mother. Go ahead and do what you do, boss. You got it. Let's go. I'm done.
No problem. Like to thank the panel for for doing what they do, always pushing the ball to make sure that the info that we bring forward, that we make sure that we vet it and make sure that we keep it with no narrative, so it allows the relatives to pick up the pieces that they need to move forward in their own story. I'd like to thank the chat, the ones that active every day in the chat and the ones that just listen, because without y'all, none of this would be possible. And again, let's make it our job daily to make sure this information that we gather here and come up with together, that we pass it along. Let's make sure, if at least we can commit to ourselves, to download physically one record of our ancestors to have physically. Just one a day. Just one. To start. We have to start someplace, and you got to crawl before you walk. And to try always will trump a failure. But we got to be willing to do it. So on that note, it's always fun when we get to when we get to kick it with the relatives. No place you'd rather be. Everyone have a very, very, very blissful day. And come prepared for tomorrow's Rising Show, because it's going to be a banger. Peace.
Head banger.
Peace, y'all.
Warning, warning, hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots, required.